TES on that blue side. Let's see how the Fearless format shakes up some of these bans. Already seeing that Yone and Gwen are yet to be banned away. Gwen going to be taken away there. So we're going to get at least one of Yone or Rumble that is going to be available for this B1. But Sejuani is taken away, so that's usually the handshake, right? Bloxer, you take away one or the other, and it's hard to lock in the Yone, hard to lock in the Sejuani. We'll see, though. Yone gets through.
Yeah, I mean, the Yone has been very strong. You can also move it around. It gives you a little bit of flexibility if you want it in terms of these drafts too. So we'll see if that is going to be the pickup. If not, things like the Naafiri have still been floating around. Yep, I was slightly worried that that was going to be the hover right here. Let's see if this one is going to be locked in, and we do get it. Now, Kanavi has had some great performances on this champion. It is such a strong pickup to be able to grab for yourself. Oh, I love this from IG. Yes, send it. Exactly. This is the sort of composition I was actually wondering if TES were going to go for. This is the full send composition. This is even more send than it is when you take yourself a Xin Zhao or a Vi alongside this Kai'Sa. You'd better get this working early because the Pantheon is useless in the late game.
Yeah, it is. I am... You know, it's to a fault. It's been for many years. I am a Gala believer in a lot of ways. Him on Kai'Sa could be the X factor, but I do like this pivot coming across from JackeyLove and Crisp. A great way to deny that killer instinct dive threat like you were talking about, Bloxer, is that Featherstorm, right? The Rakan buys so much space with the charms and the knockups. So I think Top Esports have already done a pretty good job responding to IG saying, we're going to come at you in that mid game once we get these ultimates online. And they're inviting them to try and touch this Xayah.
Yeah, I mean, the full send composition, something it struggles into is champions where you just can't touch them. Well, I'm currently looking at an untargetable, and a Rakan who's slippery at the best of times, especially when you've got that extra range on that dash with the Xayah pairing. This composition isn't going to make it easy for IG to play this one out. At the same time, though, pretty squishy at the moment if you can get that lockdown, if you can get a lot of that CC going. And with the pairing of the Ahri right here for Rookie, it's going to make getting these early picks a little bit easier. The Charm is a great way to initiate these team fights and get somebody close enough for Jiejie then to be able to close the distance and open up Gala to go flying into the backline if he thinks it's a good situation.
This is formulating into an IG comp that, like we stressed in the pre-show, is what got them to 6-0 in the placement groups, had them look good against AL in early games, but the woes are going to be how does this composition scale in, or more importantly, snowball enough of a lead to bring home a very surprising 2-0. Definitely looking for another engage tool, so I like to see the Nautilus ban coming across here. We've already lost Leona to the Fearless format, so do you just take away another engage tool here for Meiko to make it pretty difficult to find that initial engage for the Ahri and that Pantheon?
Yeah,
it was Alistair.
Alistair. Maybe it's just a rel pickup right here without that counter, without having to worry about that one. Can pair pretty well alongside the Kai'Sa. It's not one of the strongest pairings that we have seen, and actually... once again, we are seeing, the Poppy. I was just going to say, the Poppy is something that was banned in the first round last time around. Works pretty well into champions with dashes. And of course, there are quite a lot of those already picked up. And the Rakan here, both of those are going to have a little bit of struggle. I do prefer it right here. Does open up the potential to get, something very much engage-focused like this Rakan. Sorry, like this Ryze. And also, it is going to be the Jace here locked in. Okay, so... I mean, 369, he's once again throwing down the gauntlet. He able to have a good early game in the previous one, wasn't able to turn it around as,
I'm TES. No, this is TES. Space. Look how much space they're... I mean, look how much space they're going to have in this game. I mean, this is disgusting. I mean, Ryze, Jace, Xayah. You talked about the untargetables. IG are going to have to really continue to have that succinct team fighting to get to all of these damage threats from distance. So it's got to be another IG early game masterclass, what we did not see in game number 1 for this comp to have any chance in this game too.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to play this one out correctly with your spacing, so important, as you've been highlighting. There's so much maneuverability as well. The thing is, we've been seeing quite a lot of Ryze recently here in the LPL, and I've been seeing quite a lot of bad Ryze here in the LPL recently. Ryzes who are just not using that ulti effectively at all. Trying to go in situations where you have no right to, or just constantly using it as a defensive tool to get away from little ganks, getting someone out safely, but never using it proactively, never using it to actually further the aims of your teams. If you want to win this game right here as top esports, Creme needs to be on point with this champion.
Creme's got to be on point. 369 definitely has an easier time finding more value out of his top lane pick in another favorable matchup. But we are on to potentially historical ramifications. A battle won for IG in the Shinobi Wars has not been something said in a very long time, not been said in any of their matchups in 2025 either. Can IG bring it home here? I don't hate playing this dive comp if you're the one with confidence. And if any game's going to give you confidence, it's that game 1 win for Invictus Gaming.
Exactly, and this is the kind of composition that actually we haven't been seeing that much from IG. When I said I wanted a full commit dive-based composition, I expected top esports to be the one playing that right here. But if you want to close this one out, if you want to change up the narrative surrounding your team at the moment, this is the kind of composition you could do it on. If they can 2-0 here, we are talking about IG as one of our top dogs all of a sudden.
This is important to remind everybody, they are towards the bottom half of the Ascendant group, staring down at play-in tournament at 1 and 2. How sweet would it feel to get back to even footing, taking a series off of the top of Group Ascend right now in top esports? Well, it's time to find out as we head right back to Summoner's Rift. Game 2, potentially the final one, if IG have any say, up against the defending champions of the LPL.
Now, as much as it would be fun to talk about any of the lanes right now, we gotta talk about this jungle matchup. Naafiri into Pantheon. If you'd have had shown that jungle matchup, what, 6 months ago, a year ago, you would have thought that the players were crazy and in bronze. But no, this is a couple of champions that we've been seeing way more recently. The Naafiri certainly more than the Pantheon, but the Pantheon's so interesting. You have to get a massive lead on this champion early on, but if you can do that, I really like the pairing alongside things like the Ornn, the Ahri, the Kai'Sa, things that can go diving in. You can set that up so well with that ulti.
Jungle definitely going to be such a polar opposite playstyle too. Last time we had, the Vi Xin Zhao matchup where both really wanted to be proactive around their ultimates, look for gank angles early on. This time it's got to be all Jiejie getting up in the face of top esports, because Kanavi is going to be farming, feeding his dogs to try and be that menace that we know Naafiri to be, like you talked about.
And the fact that Naafiri just has so much survivability now with that E, the fact that you can go untargetable, makes it so tricky to actually be able to kill this champion, and just does so much damage as well. As you were highlighting by walking away from your camera right there, space going to be the name of the game right here for top esports. And this champion, Naafiri, buys so much by both being such a threat that you have to back away from, and also just surviving for a ridiculous amount of time.
Definitely ease of execution to the side of top esports, without a doubt. But confidence is one hell of a drug. We start to see the pain points of picking this Kai'Sa early on here. The Ornn matchup is a weak side, so once again, there is a lot of space for Kanavi to try and cook here. He's going to get around that ward, go for an invade onto Jiejie. Smite's going to come across to get some health back here. The blue buff started. Kanavi has to be careful, though. First roams definitely can come from the IG mid and bottom lane. His rookie is going to come off his mid wave to make sure Kanavi doesn't get too pesky on this blue buff. Both bottom lanes also spotted out.
Fight?
We're going to have some Clown Fiesta early level shenanigans. JackeyLove immediately has to cleanse. JJ is going to throw down the Unbreakable. Kanavi has to hop back over the wall. Flash from JJ's burn, but Gala stacking up those plasma stacks. Has the lethal tempo.
Gala.
It's going for JackeyLove, and Gala finds first blood. Down goes JackeyLove. Green's going to find the trade, though, with Chris, so it's both marksmen falling, but so many summoners burned.
So many, and it's the fact that Creme roams down so much later than Rookie does that makes it a little bit of a weird play right here. The fact that Creme finally does get himself down into this play is what finally secures the kill onto Gala, but Gala flashing forwards right there, and Kanavi gonna pick up the blue buff at the end of this play as well. And now bot lane right here for IG gonna head straight up towards the top side of the map. Now in terms of carries that we want to be seeing, Gala getting an early kill, that is gonna feel so good for him. He had a great game on the MF, but this is a very different style of champion.
Champion that Gala can definitely just run this game with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this replay does at least show, I like to see that IG are not just going to let top esports push them around. And that's most important, especially given the comp that they've drafted, is Gala just min-maxing these autos to an absolute T.
He really, unfortunately, needs to step back at the end of that play where he was able to pick up that first kill. Maybe then wouldn't have given the return kill back over. But of course, it's Crisp that ends up picking up that return kill for top esports. So the gold not going to be going to anywhere near as much of an effect as IG. That's going to be the cull into Gala's back pocket. So he's all about getting himself to that item spike. First couple of items as quickly as possible. TP's coming in the top side. We've got a lot of people around here.
JJ, you do not have flash to play this far up. Kanavi might just get fed a kill here to the dogs. Oh, there we go. Kanavi gets it. That is a big problem for IG going forward to this Nefiri runs away.
Yeah, that's a big mistake, and it's twofold, right? You're giving kills and gold over to Kanavi already, and then you're also just delaying yourself here as JJ. When he had that blue buff stolen away as well, he's beginning to fall behind by a decent margin to Kanavi, and anytime that this Nefiri is able to get a lead, it's very unlikely that you're going to throw it away. You're so much survivability, like we've been saying, so much damage as well built into this champion. So keep watching on to this mid lane matchup. 20 seconds until we're going to be seeing these grubs spawning. We've already got an Infernal Drake in the bottom side of the map as well. That's going to be very juicy for whichever team can pick it up.
The grubs not being the game-defining thing for our first game was still such a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
6 grubs in the LPL, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you get 6 grubs in the LPL, I'm willing to bet good money that you're usually winning your games.
Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately for TES in that previous game, grubs are a win more, and they just never really actually got to step up to towers. At the point at which towers are really going to be under threat, that's where IG have managed to fight their way back into the game and actually get themselves a lead. We'll see if it's going to be a different story in this one. Straight onto the grubs go TES with no response. It's going to be JJ picking up this Drake for himself and the rest of the team in the bottom side of the map. And it's going to be all on the second set of grubs, right? If you can go 2 for 2 and get an early Infernal Drake for your team, that's going to be very worth it right here for JJ and IG.
Called it out. Grubs for Dragon. Going to be the trade, but as we point out from draft, it's important to keep in mind that IG need to keep being the more proactive team on the map here. You cannot just let a Rise farm up to that big 3-item spike that has made so many LPL mid laners look fantastic. You can't let JackeyLove get any more comfortable with the Xayah scaling up as well. So JJ needs to continue to be proactive. Maybe using that flash as it comes right back up on cooldown. Especially once Rookie gets the Spirit Rush, IG need to make sure they are all over the map.
Exactly, you have to be proactive with this kind of composition. It's very much going to be on IG to get themselves a lead early on, and to all be strong enough to really unlock Gala to play this Kai'Sa exactly as he wants to. If he can feel free to go in with the ulti, to be weaving his way through these team fights, then you're in a great spot as IG. If he's having to sit back and kind of just poke out with a W, that's not going to feel so good. As yeah, JackeyLove taking a huge chunk of damage right now. Is going to tick 6, so not going to be under too much threat to die at the moment. No junglers in the area to make him sweat, but you really don't want to be taking a couple of extra pokes from the tower shots here.
Yeah, I don't want to, I'm not trying to read in any of this, but just the JackeyLove rhythm doesn't really feel like it's there, and that's been the most reliable part of top esports for eons, it feels like. So if he's out of a funk, like, what is top esports at that point, right?
Yeah, JackeyLove is the guy. I mean, we've been talking about it, right? So much history between these two teams because of JackeyLove, and if he's feeling a little off kilter in this game, we'll have to see how that works out for top. Right now, he's just being not allowed to go back to base. Getting poked about right now. Meiko just constantly stepping up, stopping any available recalls. He's probably sat on quite a lot of gold at the moment, is JackeyLove. Finally, they're going to be able to get one off. And it's actually going to be Creme heading down to pick up this wave in the bottom side. Still got 3 minutes until the Drake spawns. It's the next set of grubs in 2 minutes that I'm really interested in, and seeing where it is this bot lane from TES go, because I don't think it's going to be back towards the bottom. No, I'm heading into the mid lane to be available for this upcoming grub fight.
Very integral fight, especially because you just cannot give Definitely not 6 grubs, right? But you don't even really want to give Mites over to a Ryze Jace comp. I know we kind of were hoping top esports would lean into that split push a bit with their Talia Aatrox to the lanes, but Bloxer, this is a comp that's perfectly aligned to dominate the side lanes.
Oh, it really is. This kind of composition, if you can get that split push actually working out for yourself, constantly being able to push through multiple lanes right here, it's going to be very tricky for IG to really play around that one. And you've also still got quite a lot of threat in a 1-3-1 with the 3-man. You can get a lot of good engages off, especially as Crisp right here. We'll see how he plays that one out going forwards, as Gala takes a decent chunk of damage right there off of Creme. With Gala down in the bottom side, less than a minute until these grubs are going to spawn. He's not so likely to actually be involved in that play.
Yeah, IG really just need to find some way to break these lane assignments because the gold lead is definitely starting to grow and there's just no pressure on Creme or 369 if we're matching a Kai'Sa and an Ornn into them. And you can see the gold leads are starting to build up for those two, but it even further succinks with Kanavi just being able to farm up like a menace with the lead he's gotten. He's got his Eclipse done.
Yep.
Like, IG, I cannot stress how much more proactive they have to be.
Hang on.
Here we go. Grand Starfall. They don't get the Ornn Horn knockup. Will they be able to kill out 369? They've got the knockups coming across here. But Kanavi gets the reset. Sure, JJ trades out 369. Both mid laners are rocking up to the party, but Naafiri is unleashed. Kanavi is here to stay. Double kill on the top side.
That's not who you want to be giving the double kill over to, as you highlighted perfectly just before that play starts. The Eclipse already completed onto this Naafiri, more than enough damage between them. Meiko potentially looking for a play onto Creme, not going to be able to find that one. And it's now Kanavi with the fast track here towards these grubs, possibly going to be able to pick up all 6 of them for his team. With JJ only now on the way back in, I'd be very surprised if any of these get stolen away. Great play right here for TES, and it comes off the back of what was a proactive play from IG.
And Top Esports just had the answer. This game is going a lot like the last one, but the difference in compositional strategy from IG and when it has to spike is so much different that even though I'm going to sound like a broken record and say this is a spot where Top Esports should run away with it, it feels a lot more suffocating than last time.
It really does. So we have a look back at this play in the top side of the map. Kanavi just arrives here at the perfect time. It's kills going back and forth initially, but Ricky is just giving so much less value right now. Isn't actually able to step up, land a charm, really do anything in this play. Not in the same way that Creme was able to be very effective with that roam up. Picking up a couple of kills for his jungler as well. Yeah. Being able to step away with this game, really run away from IG with it is exactly what you need to do. And you're right to highlight the fact that this is not the sort of composition for IG where you want to be falling behind. The Pantheon specifically needs itself an advantage to be useful. Well, you're currently down by about 30 CS. You're down by a ton of kills as well. You can see 1.2k the disadvantage. Right now, not reflecting in terms of items and barely in terms of levels, but that's really going to begin to show as this gold gap continues to widen.
Yeah, I mean, one Kai'Sa scaling with a lead is not going to save you here, IG. Gala cannot carry that much of the burden by this point. And I hope to see the Top Esports really just sink in and don't recognize they have to play for these 5v5 team fights so much. Maybe with Kanavi's lead, they'll look to try and deny this dragon. They do have first roam coming from TheShy. Kanavi not going to try and mess around with that steal, so dragon stacking is on the side of IG, but again, you're just settling 369 and Creme into these side lanes of doom. They're going for the Grand Starfall combination again with the Ornn Horn knockup. Kanavi's here again. They've got the Realm Warp coming across. 369's going down, but the knockups land. Kanavi is going to get bunted out, though. Meiko with a good keeper's verdict, and this time, the pick composition doesn't pay the price.
That was really well played right there from Meiko. He completely won that fight for IG. It was a brilliant little stun that was able to pick up that initial kill onto 369 and then punts Kanavi away. Make sure that there's not going to be any follow-up coming through. Brilliant poppy play right here. And as much as it feels silly to say, obviously Gala and Rookie, they're going to have to be the main carriers in this one. But it's very much going to be on these accessory players to be able to facilitate that happening. The Poppy, a very good champion to make that happen, and it's so nice. Watch exactly what the Poppy does in this one. The initial play is just a straight up send it. this is exactly what you need to do with this
Send it.
composition. They all go flying in exactly as you need to. Watch Meiko right here. Gets the stun off that allows that initial kill to go through, and then immediately channeling right there onto the ulti to stop himself from dying, possibly TheShy too if he ends up going down. Really saves his team right there. Well played onto Meiko. And it's at least something back for IG.
It's a veteran-built squad for IG. Maybe showing their true colors, understanding how they have put themselves in a good spot with this game with some of those counter picks. We did talk about how important the Poppy is going to be, and Poppy is such a neutralizer and is a pretty potent counter into what Nefiri wants to do. So we'll see how often Meiko can really mark Kanavi and try and shut down this Nefiri, because that was something Meiko did a really good job with into 369's Aatrox in the last game, but
Yes.
6 grubs, hell of a drug. Down goes another turret.
Indeed, and these towers are beginning to take a lot of damage too. You can see both the mid lane and the bottom lane tier 1s have had a big chunk of their health taken out. They're going to fall relatively quickly if you can actually get on top of them right here as TS. They've got plenty of wave clear on this composition too. 40 seconds until the Herald is going to be spawning. That could completely break the map open for TS if they're able to pick this one up. I wonder if IG are going to feel the need to get involved, not just allow this one to go over. So far in these 5v5, 4v5 skirmishes, it has been TS coming out on top. So IG, maybe you want to find yourself a pick beforehand. That's what this composition is really good for.
Here we go.
TPs.
You called it. Teleport.
JackeyLove.
They have JackeyLove found. Flashes. Gonna have to use the Feather Storm soon,
Just
but doesn't
dead.
get a chance.
Okay.
Gets knocked up. Down goes JackeyLove again. And does IG just get a runaway for the hills? Looking to pick off the rest of the members. Big charms come across though. Chris is locking all of IG in place. Gala finally swings over. 369 goes down first. Here comes IG once again. Just when you think they're out of the game, they find the kills. They find the way. They
Oh, the charm!
the Shinobi Wars. Rookie's charm does it. 4 for 1 for Invictus Gaming.
There we go, IG, 2 games in a row now. They've had a rough early game, but turn it around in the mid game. Beautiful plays right there. Kills going exactly where you need them to. Gala, Rookie, finding all of the gold they need. And let's see what they can get off the back of this one again. TES, it feels like they're just crumbling in these mid game fights.
And again, I can't believe I'm saying it, Bloxer. JackeyLove is picked off again for nothing.
Wandering around by himself, also gets tagged by that W, allowing Gala to go ulti on in. Doesn't even get to use the ulti. And then here, that's not the Realm Warp you were really looking for. It's just way too slow coming through too. And oh boy, it's just going to be a complete disaster on the backside of this team fight. The fact that TheShy also survives in this one, Kanavi flashed forwards. I didn't see that midway through that team fight, looking to pick up that kill. That's going to be a big engage tool just gone.
Woo.
And it turns into a complete disaster. You can see the coaching staff right here for IG. So happy with that one.
I mean, there's a bow on the head of JackeyLove right now in this game, and it is mind-boggling to watch. Now he's without his flash now as well, which makes him a victim for this dive play over and over again. But it's important to still factor in top esports build up enough of a gold surplus that they are still in the lead in that department. But they might have to fight their way to find themselves even bigger
Big damage
margins. As Creme gets knocked down to half, like you called out, Meiko doesn't really come away from that one as the weaker member.
No.
And with that reset, do IG set themselves up for a very early soul?
Quite possibly right here. They've certainly got the fast track down towards it. TheShy also has that Ornhorn, been critical throughout the rest of these team fights. It's going to be the Herald dropped here into the mid lane. You should be at least able to crack this tower. It just depends on where the re-engage is right here from IG.
There's no Spirit Rush up here for Rookie. As the mid-tier 1 turret goes down,
There's the
TheShy
Ornhorn.
channeling the Ornhorn.
Ooh,
Gonna get a
3-man.
couple of big knockups, but they can't go in. Meiko can't find a target because Chris keeps everybody at bay. So there's some of that desync we talked about with the IG team fighting. I think that's just going to force them to give up this dragon that could have been pivotal towards their scaling.
Yeah, you lose the tower and you don't manage to find the fight off of the back end of that one. Going for this play, I think, would be a bad idea. Of course, IG like those occasionally. It's going to be a TP coming in here from TheShy. Bit
Meiko,
late.
you are at 40% HP. The Grand Starfall on the backside. Meiko needs to knock somebody out. The Realm Warp, how many people is going to take away all members of top esports as they avoid the flank? And they won't have to pay the price at all for taking that dragon away from IG.
And they might pay with this mid lane tier 1 tower. It's a small advantage for IG to be able to pick this one up. But overall, that's a lot better from TES. Like you said, IG, as much as they have been able to swing back in this game, their mid-game and late-game team fighting and a lot of their other series was one of the biggest problems they've been running into, not being able to find these big advantages. Kanavi, he doesn't know it, but he is currently surrounded.
Oh, good untargetable, though. Dodges the
times.
charm. Kanavi is prepared for the pick plays that JackeyLove seemingly is not.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he was able to press that button that fast. He had no clue that he was about to get walked into. Just about is able to spot that one out, sweeping his way through his jungle. And oh boy, this game really does feel like it's on a knife's edge. As you said, the gold lead's still going to be the advantage for TES, but with all the time that we spent around this bottom side of the map, Atakan now going to be spawning in 10 seconds time. It's going to be ruinous again. Sorry, voracious again, so it's going to be something you really want to be playing for.
Kanavi wins the red buff battle there, so gets the red buff. And yeah, the goal difference, it's once again, you got to set up Gala to bring these fights home. I mean, he is so much further ahead than his counterpart, still weird to say out loud. And I mean, look, 2 items. He's got the Yuntal crit, Yuntal and IE, like this is a full crit.
He hits
damage
like a
scaling
truck right
Kai'Sa,
now.
yeah. And it's only going to get worse, right?
Yeah, it isn't going to be the sort of Kai'Sa build that completely falls off later on. And because of the composition that you've built for yourself right here as TES, there's no need to be making a build that has to take down tanks. There's none to really worry about. You know, the tankiest member is probably going to be Kanavi just because of... Alright, all good, all good. Slightly worried about 369 right there, but there's no follow-up. There's nobody that you really need to worry about as a tank, so you're able to just go for this full crit build, melt through your opponents. Let's see, if Gala feels comfortable, feels empowered to be able to go jump into the backline right here, JackeyLove is going to be using that ulti defensively every single time.
Don't have to worry about itemizing any sort of armor pen as well into this TES composition that does have a very makeshift
full
front line.
damage.
So you can, you can go full damage. He's up a full item and then some.
Yeah.
And then you do have to factor in by this point in the game, right? IG, the Ornn pick does go away from their, RE style, the Pantheon style, maybe a bit of the Poppy, but Ornn augmentations are going to start to kind of nullify that gold lead a bit, right? Just in raw gold stats.
Exactly, and the Ornn was just the non-committal engage that they really needed. You saw in that previous fight where the Ornn horn comes down, but you don't have to all go flying in. It's not like you've got a Vi, a Xin Zhao, a Malphite, any of those kind of champions who have gone flying in themselves. Even the Alistar or the Rel that we've been seeing a lot recently in the support role. You can throw that one down. If it's a good fight, wonderful, go and engage upon it. If not, it sucks that you've used that ulti, a very big teamfight tool, but it's not the end of the world. You haven't lost everything because your top laner's gone flying in and died for himself. The Ornn, I think it works really well, and like you said, it's going to make these items differences a little bit less so for TES, something they need to worry about.
Every level TheShy gets is going to be an upgraded Infinity Edge, likely upgraded Sundered Sky is going to come through. You're going to have a Rod of Ages from Rookie as well. We'll get an upgrade. And what do we think of this Rookie build, by the way? I know this is kind of the new tech that allows for Ahri to be a bit more of a scaling threat, going the Rod of Ages and then haunting guys as well, building into likely Liandry's. How would you like that, Bloxer, in this game?
I think you need it. I think you need that late game scaling option available to you because your Pantheon's going to fall off, because your Kai'Sa, sure, you're going to keep doing quite a lot of damage, but you need some other threat to be able to play for, and it also just keeps you a little bit healthier with this build too. I think something that you really do need as Rookie, because your whole composition is built around going in, moving through the backline of this composition, being a little bit healthier, having a little bit more in terms of resistance stats, it's just going to help you out a little bit more. I think it's the right game for this kind of build.
3 items done for Gala. Gets the Phantom Dancer in before an Otacon fight, before this next Cloud Drake comes up. So it is now going to be top esports' problem, this Kai'Sa, even if they are the ones that kind of wait to see if IG can successfully dive into them. If Gala gets in a prime position, it is a buzzsaw to the face of TES.
Rookie actually completes that Liandry's that you were just talking about as well, so he's going to be in a pretty good spot to lay down the damage in this team fight. The Drake already going to be started up right here for IG TS. It's on them to walk into the darkness.
Kanavi can hop over the wall. Do you got the steal in yet? It's going to be 50-50. Kanavi gets it. Grabs the Cloud Soul in. Now you don't have to fight unless Jiejie tries to start it, but he's all on his own. Charm doesn't land. Kanavi uses a great untargetable, but Gala gets the first kill. Gala's going crazy on the front line again. Nobody's touching this Kai'Sa. Nobody's touching IG Gala. Give him the quadra kill.
Beautiful play right there. Gala is unleashed. 3 items Kai'Sa hitting like a truck, as we said. JackeyLove, the only member of TES to stay alive. They're going to lose the Atakan as well. And IG, they have come here to play.
Wow. I mean, Jiejie, the confidence to just flash stun anybody he can. They don't get the charms. It doesn't matter right now. Gala is just different in this game.
Oh, yeah.
So far ahead. 8-1 now, gets the Ornn itemization. It doesn't even matter that they lose this Cloud Drake because they are running these 5v5 fights.
Absolutely, and just watch Gala throughout this one. He's playing on the edge of this one, dodges away. That was so nice. Dodges away from getting charmed up by the Rakan, and then at this point he's just unleashed, using the ulti to get a little bit closer in. And at this point in the team fight, JackeyLove's already run. He has already turned tail and fled this fight. He's already back to his tier 2 tower by the end of this one.
Yeah, another clutch Meiko Poppy ult sends JackeyLove out. And top esports are now going to have to deal with a team that is so... I mean, it's like they're rabid to look for fights, and now they have a Atakan revive.
Well, that's what you need to do with this composition. I was worried for JJ's life when he went flying in on that initial engage, but it works out beautifully. It's the engage that was needed. Baron now going to be started up by IG. 369's got a flank. He's going to be spotted at least.
Kanavi, can you be the hero here? Look for the steal angle in. But TES, they're not confident in what they want to go for here. They're going for a pick onto rookie. Baron is below 2.8k. Meiko, very low, poked out the Ornn. In goes TheShy. Finds absolutely nobody. Rips the Ornn. And Gala gets picked off with the killer instinct. The revives are going to come across. But do top esports have their fight now without Gala to deal with? The revives are coming across. Rookie cannot get over to JackeyLove. Stays safe. The Keeper's Verdict is buying a bit more time for IG to get the revive off. So they're not going to pay with the Baron. But that was a messy, messy fight. The IG synchronization did not come online this time, and TES punished it.
Ooh, you have to wonder how much of that team fight was IG saying, hey, we've got ourselves the revives, why not go for this one? At the same time, you do still go for over a huge chunk of gold. There's 200 gold every single time one of those revives gets popped. Yes, it doesn't turn into the Baron because there's no respawn timer, but it's still giving TES an advantage in this game that they didn't need. And in this one, Gala giveth and Gala taketh away. This was way too aggressive right here. It's at the exact moment that the whole rest of IG seems to think twice about going in. The Gala's like, no, no, no. I got this one. Goes flying in with a killer instinct. Again, he has the revive, so it's not the end of the world. If he does that during a real team fight where they don't have the Atakan revives available, that's the game right there. TES just completely turned that one around.
I just think that they can never fight unless Meiko punts somebody out. I still think that is such a underrated key piece to IG finding these fight wins, especially punting out somebody that can lock up Gala while he's trying to dash across. But IG have no fear in their hearts. They are right back to setting up around this river, daring top esports to walk a little bit too far forward on their lonesome. Trying to win this vision war, but they are kind of playing into the hands of this range we keep talking about for TES.
Yeah, the poke damage is taking big chunks right now off of IG.
Oh, Gala's got a GA.
Good.
All right, maybe he can do it. Oh, he can do it again, Bloxer. So
yeah, one more time. Let's run it back. And hey, I do think that's the right decision. So much of this game is on the back of Gala right now. They're going to start the Baron once again. They don't have the false lives available. Let's see where this ulti from the Poppy is going to go. Like you said, it's a big part of being able to win these team fights.
Gala's already 60% HP. Took up a lot of that Baron brunt. Do they still really want to fight? Looks like it. JackeyLove gets forced out of the Featherstorm. Has to charm the cleanse. Does get back there, and this time Meiko is punished. JackeyLove survives. Finally finds that killer edge we need to see for the TES AD carry.
Oh, that is so unfortunate right there for Meiko. That heroic charge, the angle was off by just a millimeter, and it means you don't get the stun onto JackeyLove. If you do, you pick up that kill, and then the fight is won for IG. Unfortunately for them, they're just going to lose out onto their support. Now, it doesn't seem like it's going to turn straight into the Baron. TheShy, though, getting chased here. He's tanky, but
I mean,
is he that
TheShy's
tanky?
just
No.
dead. Kanavi chews him up, spits him out, and now I think Top Esports have the Baron under control.
Yeah, really should do. You've obviously still got the jungler up and available and spent enough time that Meiko is back. He's trying to run to this one. The Baron is melting. Grand
Jiejie.
Starfall in. Okay.
JJ, you crazy man. Can you come
Does
up
he
with
get
the
it?
steal?
Does he get it?
Oh, they're going for JackeyLove. Gala is going to fall. Gala's going to find the kill to JackeyLove, but the Baron does go into the hands of Top Esports. Rookie has to bail out, and that Jiejie does jack squat for Gala. He's not strong enough to stand up to 3 members of TES as they stabilize this game state. Oh, Rookie. Oh, Rookie.
I think
You are
he's
lucky
okay.
Spirit Rush is back up, my friend. You are lucky.
Meiko being in the area, just about gonna keep Rookie alive right now, but yeah, not ideal. And this is exactly what we'd been talking about for IG. Their individual players are so good. You've heard of these names, even if you're not a consistent LPL watcher. So many people that have spent so much time on the international stage. But at the same time, the way they play together isn't always excellent, and in that team fight, it felt so disjointed. We should get a replay of it at some point. There is going to be a Drake up and available right now, so we might end up skipping that one. But the way that IG are going in, it's not all together. It's just members jumping in at disparate times, not quite working out. We need to see IG play out another clean team fight where you're able to have Gala working his way through that one pretty much untouched. Otherwise, I don't know if they're going to be able to win this one. TES is such a good team, and they are clawing their way back into this one. They are now on soul point.
It's the IG that we were worried about. The sort of panic, the overconfident ability, thinking that they can just kind of force through their issues, their lack of cohesion. It's shown up in these last couple of fights. Top Esports done a really good job punishing it. Keeper's verdict for Meiko. Not going to be channeled this time, but IG are struggling to hold their base at all.
Yeah.
Baron 6 grubs is so oppressive.
Yeah, we highlighted the 6 grubs earlier on, and with the Baron buff, these towers are just going to be melting. IG, they don't really have the wave clear to be able to step up to this one. If they want it, they have to go for the fight.
Okay, Featherstorm out from JackeyLove, who's originally been the target. Keeper's verdict's going to send him out. This time they get the slam onto Creme. Creme's trying to survive, goes into the stasis. Meiko's able to survive, but the dogs will hunt him down. Down goes Creme. JJ's going after Chris. Gets a huge knockup. In goes Kanavi. Gala trying to kite back, but Kanavi will hunt him down. The pack smells blood in the water, and now the rest of IG are just going to crumble to the might of Top Esports. TheShy will not survive. Rookie teleported to his base just to be the only one to tell the tale of TES rescuing the series.
20 seconds still on the Baron, and we've got long enough death timers right now that at least this inhibitor is going to be under threat. With 6 grubs, you can go for the game right now. Do you want to overpush this one, though? TES, if they throw the game away right here, it's going to feel so bad. First Nexus Tower is going to take a huge chunk of damage. Meiko has respawned. 17 seconds until Gala's back up.
They just can't do anything. Meiko's
No.
dead. Rookie doesn't have Spirit Rush. He doesn't have Flash. He doesn't have anything. And Top Esports, despite the heroic team fighting of IG once more, this time survive and send us the distance.
Boy, that game looked like it was gonna be Tops at the beginning, then IG, and then Top, they're able to bring this one back. Like you said, send us to a game number 3. Exactly what everyone was going to be hoping for from this series. I'm so glad it's going the distance, but what a crazy game that was.
Whew. Yeah, that was what we call a barn burner in the industry right there. I will say, though, you take out a couple of those really good team fights from IG, was a pretty dominating start to finish here from Top Esports. One bad JackeyLove pickoff, one crazy fight around Dragon. Outside of that, Top Esports picked that distance comp and they executed it almost to a T.
Yeah, exactly. If you can remove one really bad team fight from it, it makes it look like an overall pretty solid game. I am worried about TS going into this third matchup, about how they seem to be so good at getting early leads and throwing them away in these early to mid-game skirmishes. That's beginning to be a little bit of a pattern for this team. They're able to overcome it in this game because they are so solid in their late game team fights, but you really don't want to have it that close going into it. For IG, this game was winnable, right? You get a quadra kill right there. Gala looking so clean on one of his best champions with the Kai'Sa. And then in the remaining couple of fights, especially that one where they had those Atakan false lives, they just went way too far forwards. They were jumping in situations that, honestly, he had no right to be doing.
Yeah, it's... Sometimes IG, you know, it's like a caffeine crash. You get it. It's like you get so hopped up on this stuff. You're so excited. You want to run around, do everything, and then the crash comes in, and it's just a rough one. They were playing like they had Voracious Atakan buff in every one of those last fights, right? Like they could have just given up position around those Barons, giving up position to TES, setting up new vision, but they wouldn't budge. They were just stubborn, it felt like.
Yeah, IG, they don't concede map pressure. If you're going to have map pressure against them, you're taking it off of them after they fought you for the 6th time. It's fun. I enjoy watching it, but it isn't necessarily the clean League of Legends that we've really been looking for from IG. It's not the clean League of Legends that some of those top teams, I'm thinking BLG, have been playing recently, where they're just taking apart opponents step by step by step, building it up brick by brick. Instead, when IG win, it's a mess. It's a complete disaster of team fights that they're able to come out on top of. So much fun to watch, but I don't know if it's repeatable again in this game number 3.
Yeah, and going back to looking at this through the historical lens of the Shinobi Wars, especially recently, this is what is really, you know, that last point you just made, Bloxer, I feel like, has separated IG from top esports. IG from the upper echelon of LPL contenders for the title is, you know, just stubbornness to give space, wait for your moments in fighting, and just being addicted to the thrill of the fight. I mean, this is what I think defined them in their series last split in the playoffs against top esports.
Exactly. They were going in way too much. They were way too excited to press all their buttons, see all of the flashy ultimates happen, and it just was coming back to bite them time and time again. You can see in this game, IG are actually only in the gold lead for what is probably a combined 15 seconds worth of time right there. There's a little tiny bit of red right at the bottom, and you can see every single time the TS were able to get themselves an advantage, IG found a good fight. They were able to build up, good fight again, until right at the very end where the composition came online. Unfortunately, it's an early game team fighting composition that didn't get itself a massive gold advantage. As much as there was a huge amount of gold in the back pocket of Gala, you can see he wasn't even able to deal more damage than Rookie was in and amongst that fight. And overall, it turned into a little bit of a mess later on. The scaling, it came through for TES, and I think more than anything, Kanavi got this Neferi working. Yeah,
it's just the ease of execution on a team that has shown such resolve in the LPL, it's hard to really see them ever losing to really any opponents in this style. Like, you saw the damage numbers. It was so easy for Creme and 369 to play this game. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it felt like they were able to space so effectively throughout that one. JackeyLove got himself caught a couple of times, but in the team fights where it wasn't him making a positioning mistake, he felt like he was also able to sit pretty far back. In these last 2 team fights that we'll probably see highlights of here, he was pretty untouched in a lot of them, was able to actually use that ulti as you would intend, rather than not even being able to pop it as we saw a couple of times during the early skirmishes. It was just an easier to play composition, and it also felt like the Ornhorns that were so good in the early game from TheShy just sort of fell off a little bit later on into the game, wasn't actually landing them onto as many members. It's tricky too, when you've got so much mobility on the composition from top esports, but he really needed to find those to be able to buy the space for his team to be able to play this one out.
That's your look at the Gala moment in the one fight. You saw the Meiko Keeper's Verdict come across, a big Ornhorn, and enough space for Gala.
The other Gala moment.
But this was, you know, the desync. Like, even outside the Gala moment, right? You see that, but TheShy, Ornhorn doesn't lane, doesn't get the knockup. Meiko doesn't throw anybody away with the Keeper's Verdict. Rookie doesn't land a clutch charm this time. Everything had to line. It had to be a perfect storm for IG to win any of these fights. And as cool as that one quadra kill highlight was, it overshadowed how difficult of a game plan it had to be for IG in this one.
Yeah, I think the Pantheon was the bit I was questioning coming into it, and that bore fruit towards the end. As much as it did look good for a couple of moments, a couple of these team fights, it was off the back of the whole team having to full commit to these team fights, going flying into the backline, because Jiejie, the only way you can make a team fight start as a Pantheon is to just ult your way into the backline or just walk at someone in E. And if you don't have that full follow-up, if you're getting hit before these team fights start with all of the poke that Top Esports had available to them, it means you're not able to play these ones out as you would intend.
And it's just leaving enough space for the defending champions with the pedigree that Top Esports has to overcome the adversity. JackeyLove wasn't getting picked off as often, was able to stay safe in a lot of these fights, and most importantly, set up his teammates to bring it home. And that once makes me want to revisit the conversation we talked about, right? Where if Top Esports, what do they look like when JackeyLove gets a bit knocked down, gets put behind? I think this game will reflect it. When we talk about them, you know, the lofty goals you've talked about, Bloxer, of like international performances, you know, defending champions, winning a game like this where JackeyLove was a bit off, put behind, is actually pretty big. Yeah,
it's a big sign. We haven't really spoken about the MVP here because, honestly, it felt like it was Kanavi, right? The second that this game turned around and went in the favor of Top Esports, it was going to be Kanavi right here on this Neferi. There's a reason that it's one of the top pick ban champions we've got in the LPL at the moment. Once you get a couple of items onto this champion, get it online, just deal so much damage, so much survivability baked in as well. And it made for a brilliant game to watch for Top Esports, the sort of comeback that you love to see as a fan. However, in this next game, if you are a Top Esports fan, you're hoping that they don't throw the mid game in the first place.
You are hoping that they find themselves the most compelling win of this series. But yes, you called it out. You alluded to it a bit here, Bloxer. We came in talking about how this series is marked and has been marked over many years as the Shinobi War. Not Shinobi Skirmish, not Shinobi Battle. It's a war because it takes all the resources, all the time, and a full series. Do or die game number 3 here between Top Esports and Invictus Gaming for the first time. We'll be live with the draft after a short break to see who comes out victorious.